All right, so Mike is going to stop by and we're going to finally tab these upper control arms. I know we dumped a bunch of videos before we did these arms. We kind of did the whole front end and we left y'all hanging on the arms. But this is the video to explain the anti-dive. What I'm going to attempt to do in this video is not what everybody else has done on YouTube, and I'm going to give it to you basic, universal stuff. I'm sick of watching YouTube videos and all of them being how to figure it. All right, so we are going to measure. Somebody actually commented, why don't you just copy the suspension you're using? This is the suspension we're using in the hot rod, is this truck. And so we want to see how far we end up off.
21 3/4.
21 3/4, what is that, on the upper?
Yeah, upper front, and 11 on the lower. You want to write this down?
Oh, I got it on film.
Right.
11 on the front, or 11 on the front lower.
And then we got
because this was somebody's point, and they were like, why don't you just copy?
19 3/4.
19 3/4. And that was the upper?
Yeah. 11 on the back.
11 on the back. So what was the front? 11 also?
21 3/4.
No, the front lower.
Yeah, 11 is square.
So they are running their lower control arms level to the ground.
And the truck is at a little bit of a rake.
Yeah, because this is just a factory Sierra. And this is the same suspension that we're using on ours. So these are the factory measurements on the same Silverado suspension that we're using in here. They also, if you notice, let's see here, their lower control arm is level. I was watching on YouTube this morning, and a lot of people were talking about putting the lower control arm at an angle and the upper at an angle. But GM put their lowers level, and then the difference in that would be how much they did on their uppers.
That's 10 3/4.
10 3/4. That's the difference?
But
No.
That's how far apart they are.
Oh, okay. So that's like the spread.
Hey, come here.
Let me write that down. What we got? 10. Wow. Just sitting there is pretty much dead on.
You know, no, it's going to be just above that.
Yeah,
like I said.
yeah. Which that's what we
So-
figured. That's the reason why we put the frame rail there.
10
Right?
3/4 right there. So what we measured out is exactly what GM has.
Yeah. And we literally just did it from scratch. And we figured out their cheat code we figured out their equation without copying the truck. But somebody did mention, they were like, why don't you just copy the Silverado? And I told them the reason why we don't just copy the Silverado is because then, react different, but then your next build, you don't know anything. Then if you don't have nothing to copy, at least this way we went ahead, like me and the viewers went ahead and learned it.
But everything
So if you don't have nothing to copy, then you can just do it.
Everything we did on paper, and then we just went out and measured that truck, and
Yeah,
it's
it matches.
exactly the same as what we did on paper.
Yeah. All right, and so I just rigged up this stand with a plumb blob just to square off basically square tire off. You can take the control arm off if you want. It's just on finger tight.
I'm going to take it off.
Yeah, just so it's not in our way. Just lay it on the side. And so now we're just trying to get the wheel level. Because in theory, to set this, we're putting a perfect alignment on it right now.
Yeah, we're building it with the right alignment.
With the right alignment, yes. And then we'll
set the caster and everything. The camber and the caster will all be set with this at this position, and then the only thing you'll have is adjustment in your upper control arm when
correct.
you go to.
And we're going to put that at 0 where we got in and out
You'll have
adjustment.
0 on
Yeah,
it.
but we're going to try to basically build perfect alignment. And that's how you kind of build these cars, is you build perfect alignment, right?
Yeah. I got to get that somewhat square this way too, but I got to.
Well, we can go off the frame rails for that.
Yeah, I got to mainly get measurements off the rim.
Okay.
And if you're a little bit off, it's okay because that's why you got adjustment in the suspension.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay if you're a little bit off.
And if you're new and you just found this video because you're tired of all the complicated videos out there, this frame rail is perfectly square. So when we built this originally, the rails are perfectly square.
I'm still using this side. I gotta Use my brain on.
Yeah, them are complicated right there at the end of the tape measure. Like if you don't know your measurements. The blocks, I do have the suspension set at ride height. That is a important piece. I built these blocks where the frame rail
That's
and everything is ride height.
That way. Now I got to figure out this situation caster wise.
Caster, remind me again what's caster. That's in and out, right? Or no?
Camber is in and out.
Camber's in and out.
Caster.
Okay, caster is forward and backwards.
The more caster you want in it.
Faster you want to drive, the more caster you want in it.
Unless you're turning corners.
Unless you're turning corners.
Then you don't want that aggressive on it. If you want to drive it in a straight line, say.
Okay.
For good driving.
And to figure out caster, what are we going to do? Just sit it on top?
Center to center, and then the angle that you want back.
Okay, I'll see it whenever you do it. Visual learner.
Actually, I'm trying to find a piece of rod. That now.
Okay.
There you go.
So all that does is give us a ball joint line.
It gives us a ball joint line.
And he sharpened the end of it so that it will go in your grease fitting without the grease fitting in there.
And
To
then
center
that's
it.
just the center of the ball joint where they
Yeah,
have it.
yeah. The grease fitting's in the center. And the top is not perfect, but it don't have to be that precise, right?
And your frame is 0, right?
Yes. Yeah, if you want to zero it out.
I'm gonna be working this angle right here.
And yeah, actually that.
So what I'll do is I'll zero it like
Oh.
that right there.
Well, it's easier to read like this. And I think it should still read off the side, right?
Yeah, but watch this. If you do that and zero it,
I think you have to do it 2 times. There
then
you
I
go.
can take this, set it right there on that.
Okay. Yeah, and we did learn that with this angle finder, you can't switch sides.
Was that 4.6?
4.66. 0, 4.66.
Close.
What angle are we looking for?
I probably put 5 degrees, so you could bring it up. You could bring it up 2 degrees without a lot, or you could take it back 2 degrees.
Okay, 5 degrees is what we're looking for. And why do you say 5 degrees because this is basically a universal number of years and years of experience, right?
It's just what I've always used every time I set one up.
Correct, but it's it's trial and error over all these years.
If you got a car and the alignment calls for 4 degrees, and you go somewhere to an alignment shop and they set up at 4 degrees, if you got it at 5, they only need to move it 1 degree to get where at 4 degrees.
Yeah.
If alignment shop is doing it on their machine, if it's at 5 and you need 6, you only got to go back 1 degree. You're never going to go 2 or 1 degrees because it'd be
It's too close to 0.
while you were driving. Too close
So
to
you don't
0.
want it 0. You never want it 0.
I always start up behind 0 so I can work in front of 5 and
Gotcha.
behind 5.
More.
John's car I set up at 10 degrees.
10 degrees, and that's a race car, drag car.
But I did that because all this life is at high speed.
Yes.
Straight line high speed.
Okay.
This you're going to want to turn a little bit. The more you lay that spindle back degree wise when you're steering, it's going to affect your caster and camber more.
Gotcha.
So you're wanting to be closer to 0 for something that you're going to be right and left a lot with.
Gotcha. Unless we're not talking about circle track racing, road course racing. We're not talking about racing application. You're talking a cruiser. A cruiser.
It's something that you're going to be
A
left
hot
and
rod
right with.
cruiser. Yes.
And that's where the anodive comes into also, because if you've got it close to 0 with 0 on the anodive, when you hit the brakes and the car dives down, it's going to put your caster into a positive position. So
Yeah, and we don't want to
I don't want
be
to be there.
even under braking. We don't want to be.
because it'll make your front end
Yeah. Okay.
want to oversteer a little bit.
Okay. So that makes sense. So 5 degrees sounds like because when you hit the brakes, it's going to come forward a little, but it shouldn't come to 5 degrees forward.
No, it's not going to come
Yeah.
forward because we're going to counter that with anodive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, so that's the reason why you don't want to be at 1 or 2.
Yeah, you don't.
You were saying because that's too close to the zero
close
center
to
line.
0.
Yeah, too close to this center line
And
being
then,
0.
and also, if it's so close to 0, when you go to set your front end up, the only thing you can do is adjust back, and you can run out of adjustment quickly because it doesn't have heim joints on these control arm
No.
stuff. So if it had heim joints, you could put it 0 and just adjust it with heim joints anywhere
Yes.
you needed to. But
Yeah. So,
you just want to get it to where it's adjustable, and 5 degrees is a neutral number that you can jump in front of it 2 degrees, jump behind it 2 degrees for different situations. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And being this is the copy of the Silverado suspension, we have no adjustment in the lowers because GM didn't have any adjustment in the lowers.
And the only thing you got is the bat wings for the.
That's what I was about to say. Is these right here? We ordered these, and I'll put across the screen who they came from.
I fixed my uncle's truck one time where somebody built it and they had all the geometry wrong on it. So the only way I could fix it is I cut all this off and I put heim joints on those upper control arms and I custom the control arm to make adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. But these are a duplicate of the factory things. These are beefing plates. So what these are is for if your hole's too weak, you can go weld these into your factory. And that's why they're cut out. Every single one is cut out all funky. But I use these as just a cheat code because now we don't have to manufacture this hole and we don't have to manufacture this tab.
Also, if that's the right and the left,
I don't know which one's which.
Front and the back.
We're gonna cut them up.
I'm just saying, if it's a front and back and they're beef up holes, there's your anodive right there. What did I say? 1.25 inches.
Oh wow.
Because the back control arm is higher, is lower than the front of the control arm.
And their GM probably put their mounting points parallel with the ground when the engineer figured the frame.
So they just made those.
They had holes different heights.
These weld in parallel at the top of the frame.
Yep.
And there's your offset for that. And I said, that's what I was saying. I'd probably put it in about 1.25 inches.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and these are literally, that's why they're all funky, is you can go put these in your truck right now if your holes are destroyed or if you're doing heavy off-roading or anything, and you can just weld these around. And it's just a wonderful cheat because we don't have to drill these holes. We don't have to notch this.
You already got a pin.
We don't have to weld in a pin. Yeah, I mean, this is just a cheat code. I mean, yes, you could do this yourself, but then you spend all the money. We're going to notch it and then clean up the bull crap of whatever looks clean. So, I mean, you could save money by building plates yourself, but why? I know that pin is perfect.
And to see if this is a rear and it's got the right offset, we'll have to cut this one down just a touch. I was saying we could use this on the front.
Yeah, this is low though.
Yeah,
these are high. Oh, okay. So look at that.
In the front and then chop the back off lower, and you're good to go. So
okay, yeah. Because I just noticed that if you look at them, like these two, they almost look the same.
Your right rear and left rear, right front and left front.
Yeah, look at that. And then that's the reason why these are so freaking tall on the bottom.
That's for that's your anodive right there, 1.25 inches.
Wow.
On the factory stuff.
Yeah.
We measured 2 inch, but we're measuring. I was measuring an old truck that's already got it adjusted too, so it could be a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, and I did paper templates so that I copied them just so I know which one I'm cutting up, so that I can fit them around the frame rails before I cut them plates because I don't want to mess the cut up on them plates.
Different because
that makes sense,
the
dude.
front of the control arm and the rear of the control arm.
Yeah, and I had no clue. I had no freaking clue. That's awesome.
Straight with the frame, you can see as you steer how it changes.
It changes. Okay. But, do you want me to let's put another magnet on there? Let's hold it kind of in place. So we use these magnets to get space. And basically we want this pretty much parallel with the rotor or with whatever, the whole assembly. Because if you swing your angle finder this way or this way, it will change the degree. And so the magnets stacked in there hold it in the same place for us to measure. That's 6. You want a hammer? Still 6. Looks like it's not even moving. Might have to physically turn the tire. Oh yeah, there we go. But we need to really center that on that board so it don't move. Ain't nothing wrong with my plumb blob.
It's not heavy enough.
Oh, so it's light? It's too light?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the reason why it just keeps kind of swinging around?
Yeah.
So if it's heavy, it won't swing as much.
No. Hey, girl. There we go. Get in there.
Get on that, and then that one is reading 5.10.
You gonna get this thing set up for your daddy?
Jojo. What you doing? Goodness gracious, piggy.
Ooh, learned that from your daddy.
No. Praying we don't bump it.
It's got adjustment in it though. I'm just trying to get close.
Yeah.
So now let's get 1 inch and put it under this.
Okay.
Actually, let's do 1 1/4 inch under that. And
So 1/4 inch plate as a spacer underneath the back. And your phone rings.
as well.
What has to be in line? The bolt holes.
The bolt holes have to be in line.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where this rod. All right, so this is 1 1/4 inch spacing, and that is 1/4 inch spacing in the back.
Just 1 inch anodive.
1 inch of anti-dive, yes. And we have this rolled back like this at 5 degrees right now.
That's where it needs to go, dude.
Okay. And the bolt, when this is all together, this needs to be perfectly parallel with the top of the frame.
Yep. So you need to
This
get
line.
in. You need to get down. We got to cut. I need a longer rod than that. Hit both of them. We're gonna go ahead and make it.
Well, we're going to show this real fast. So I'm just taking a welding rod and putting through here just because it's small. So you can wiggle it around like this and it falls right back down into center. And then to find my perfectly parallel, basic off the side of the frame rail parallel, I can go right there to the welding rod and I can move back to the front. And I'm right there. Actually, it's moved a little bit. We got to bump this. Here, Mike, you pull that front control arm forward. You see? It's got to go forward just a little bit. Or, yeah, like that. So that's to the outside. We're under it right there. So a little bit more. We need to be right there is pretty much. Yeah, dude, you can't get. That's right underneath it. That's it. No, that's dead on. That's under it. And that's under it. So now I just need to build my templates. So that's the basics of this video on what you need your anti-dive at. Now the upper control arms on GM, I think they were 2 inches higher in the front than the rear. We're or 1.5 inches higher in the front than the rear. Whatever it was, we're going with 1 inch. We're putting our fronts at 1 inch higher than the rear, and that's plenty for a cruiser. If you're just cruising, you're not racing, you're not rock crawling and everything. When GM designed the truck, they designed it so that also you could be braking if you're off-roading. So they needed it to perform well around everything when they test them trucks. You see the commercials on TVs with rain, snow, off-roading and everything. They needed it to perform decent in every aspect. We just need ours to perform decent, obviously, on the road. We're not going to be jumping it or off-roading or mudding with it. So 1 inch higher on the front than the rear. If you want to finish these control arms install, let's roll and let's finish putting these things in. So I needed hardware to mount these pieces up. These pieces came with our eBay control arms when we bought them. Now I had bought a kit that had these. All right, so these came with this, super nice. And these control arms were only like $100 off eBay. Control arms, tabs, and everything. I think I paid $75 freaking dollars for these tabs plus 4 bolts from Dirt King because I didn't know that these come in that kit. Now what these are is this is not notched all the way out like your factory one is on a Silverado or Sierra. These are drilled so that they're fixed. The ones that are notched all the way open, they tend to slide and you lose alignment, like if you hit a bump or something like that. So with this being bagged, we also wanted our alignment to be locked in. So we're building this off of 0, which is this center one. There's 5 holes. That way we can adjust this way or we can adjust this way, 2 clicks each way if we need to. But one thing that I had a very hard time finding on the internet was the freaking bolt size for these upper control arms. That information is like non-existent, and it honestly pisses me off. But I have cracked the code by going to freaking Tractor Supply and figuring it out. It is going to be an M14. All right, and so I had to buy the M14 too. Now for just 2 bolts and 2 nuts at Tractor Supply is $12.27, and these are not even as long as we need. We want to get it where this shank is at least 2 5/8, whatever that is in millimeter, and then we will cut off the rest of it. So I can't get that local. This is the biggest I can get at Tractor Supply, which is 80 millimeters long. So we will now use this information, go on eBay, and we will order us M14 bolts, all right, that have a shank length of 2 5/8. 2 5/8 is basically what the 2 tabs and the control arm bushing measures on these. I'm thinking about, oh, well, we also have to add this. So we'll remeasure it whenever we're done, because it's going to be 2 of these per each one. And then we'll order a shank length that's overall. I'll show you here in a minute when we get to that. I decided just to buy 2 bolts and 2 nuts so that I could do one side, all right, and get it accurate, because I got to tack it on. And then once it's tacked on, I'll take my bolts out. We'll stick a rod through it, that rod down there, which is not exactly accurate. That way it can just still be assembled, and we'll move to the other side and use our bolts on the other side. Saves me a lot of money, which is versus buying everything here local. That's not even right. So for the second side, transferring everything over, I literally just took a square, which I got a lot of stuff in here right now, so I can't put it up there, but put it across the frame rail like that, and then put it across your tab, because you want to make sure your control arms are the same front to back as on that side, and you can't measure off anything up there because I don't necessarily trust it. And you could argue that this frame rail could be out like that, but we took an extreme amount of time, if you back up in a couple videos, making sure these are straight, so we should be fine. So I've took one of my plates and clamped it. I got a lot going on right here. Clamped it to this to set the forward and backwards. And I've got my line right there that's transferred from that side. And then we have our height underneath here, which I have clamped to the plate also. Everything's like balancing. That sets the front height. And then we still have our plate back there in the back that sets the rear height. Now, I was going to transfer over. You remember how on this one, the edge of the frame rail was perfectly center of our welding rod. So our welding rod's not touching anything. It's just sitting here bouncing. But on this one, it's actually not the same. So there's a 1/4 of an inch gap between the welding rod and the straight edges. Also learned on this side to use a magnet and magnetize my straight edges to the frame rails so they stay in place. So then I said, well, let's switch over and double check with a palm blob on this side. Make sure our wheel is perfect like that. And when I got it perfect like that, that's when I realized that this one's actually a 1/4 of an inch off. So something is a 1/4 of an inch off. I'm guessing our mount's down here. This side is a 1/4 inch more that way than that side, which is perfectly fine as long as your wheels are perfect. But if I would have went off that frame rail, it would have been a 1/4 of an inch off. So we're good to go on this side now. It's just, like I said, going to be a little bit different. But I just wanted to show you that when you go to do that, you have to kind of double check your next side off of your first side to make sure you're good to go. All right, well, do you want to pull that out or?
No, come on down to it to start with.
Go back down to the block?
Yeah. All right, let me zero this out. That's close to 0.
And it is hard on that center
it's
cap.
hard
that
on this
center
right
cap.
here, man.
But I think that angle finder is not perfect anyway.
I know what I'll do. Okay.
I mean, you could put it on the center cap.
So here we're good. Good there. Now
Go up.
Yeah, lift up just a touch. All right. Let me get something to measure with.
Oh, you put it on the rotor. So that's basically 0. I think that little cheap China angle finder, it's got I mean, dude, you're talking decimals anyway. Like, you're not even talking a degree. You're talking a 1/4 of a degree. No.
All right.
Yeah, 1/10 of a degree.
Go up. All right, that's 2 inches right there, bump.
Oops, Jack's falling. That's still 2 inches?
Yep, now come on down.
What are we at 2 inches?
1 degree.
Let me see. We'll make sure I get 1 degree.
Yeah, that's 2 inches up, though.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Now let's come on down with it. Right there, hold. Now let's go down 2 inches.
Because that's back at ride height.
All right, hold. That's fully extended.
What are we at?
0.68. I mean, you're in there now. You could go all. It's 0.68.
Oh wow! So it's not even a degree.
It's not even a degree.
So it doesn't.
You're good. Dude.
Yeah, but hold on. But I want to understand this. When it goes up, so a 4-inch travel.
The height, yeah, from right now From right now,
Up 4 inches.
up 4 inches is 1 degree.
1 degree of movement, yeah.
1 degree.
Now,
when you go up past this, it's going to start sucking the tire back in to clear your fender.
yeah,
like you
pick
want.
that up real fast because the jack rolls.
All right.
Or you want to just pick it up again like you did it because it's way faster?
Ready?
Yeah, I got it. Look at that. That's awesome. That is freaking awesome.
So when you bag it.
Yes, and we want, if you're new and you're just catching along the video, the front end's outside, but the front end is curved just like that fender arch back there, how it's curved. So we wanted it, when we bag it, the tire starts after 4 inches. We want, all right, from 0 ride height to bump up 2 inches, and from ride height to bump down 2 inches. That's if you're riding down the road and the car bumps up and down like that. It only moves 1 degree. But then when we drop this thing and lay it out, when it goes past that 2 degree bump, it starts to then roll in. And we figured all that out in the first episode of
That was the main
suspension.
reason we wanted to go with the 1 inch right there and only 1 inch of
Yes.
offset. So
Yeah.
Versus the stock suspension.
Yeah, yeah. So we didn't go, again, reminder, we did not go the 2 inches like the GM truck. The GM truck is 2 inches higher on the front than it is on the back.
But
we only went 1
if
inch.
you bag this thing, was going to bag 5 inches?
So
from right here.
Yes, 5 inches.
About 5 inches. Tell me when that's about 5.
I don't. That's like 10. I don't know what 5. Honestly, I'd have to put a tape measure on it. I tell you what. Hey, put it back down and we'll measure it.
Yeah.
Where are we at right now? Put the block back under there and we'll get back to ride height. I done got all mixed up. Yeah, let's start over and then we'll bag it 5 inches.
You know, another thing.
Is that it? Ride height?
This isn't tight yet either. So that's going to tighten up. So you could
then-
be losing a little bit on the ball joint.
Yeah, but it's finger tight.
A little more. A little more. All right, a little bit more. A little more.
That's pretty much it though, because the tire is going to have PSI pressure on it, squished down. That's pretty much ride height. Okay, now hold on. Put a tape measure on it, and I'll measure. I'll go up with the jack. What'd you do with a tape measure? It's right there. I'll go up with a jack. So we're looking to go up from ride height 5 inches.
5 inches.
Yeah.
And that's all the way on the ground.
Yes. Yeah, that should be pretty much laid frame. You ready?
All right. Go ahead.
Try to keep this jack from kicking out.
2, 3. Should start sucking in now. 4. Should be going in good now.
Yeah.
And 5.
Yeah, you can literally see, if y'all can see that the wheel's laid in.
And that's what we
And it's
wanted.
pretty cool if you look at, which is turned out a little bit. If you look down at it, it's laid in more the body line. Man, I'm so curious to get the front end back on this thing.
That's what we wanted
Yeah.
right there. That was the whole reason
Yeah.
of doing it that way.
So you're good with that? So technically these could be finalized because that side's probably good also.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so we can finalize
But
these
you
tabs.
still have your adjustment here. And with these, you're moving in quarter inch increments. And if you need finer adjustments, you just put a set of the smooth ones on there.
Yeah.
You bolt it down.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is freaking amazing. So what we could do now, out of curiosity, if you want to,
Let's see how much it sucked the tire in, away from the fender, and up.
while you're here, let's put the front end back on and let's see what it does with the jacks. Want to do that?